I was lucky enough to be the child of very peripatetic parents. We never lived anywhere longer than 2 years, except for Guyana for 4 years. So New York was, much as it was one of the greatest learning experiences of my life, really set up and circumscribed the rest of my life that followed. There was a limit on how long I could take it, and I had to go. When you run off to a tropical island, to be an artist, parallels are inevitably going to be drawn. Obviously, I've always been fond of Gauguin for many reasons. Funnily enough, now when I go back to America, sometimes I feel like I'm going to the third world. Not in all respects, but in certain respects. Because it's not all a given. When I first moved here, this was a funny little island on the other side of the world. If you took an orange and stuck a pin through it in New York, it would come out just south of Bali. I mean, it couldn't be any further away. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but geographically, I could not be further away from New York City. I wanted to set up a world within a world that I never had to really leave. To build a place that I did not have to, actually engage in the rest of the world if I didn't have to. Let's see. I'll try something different today. I think I'll give this one a lazy eye. It's always pretty sexy. Do I want you to have a disgusting mouth? Or do I want you to be cute? That's a bit of work to make this thing sexy, but let's give it a shot. I like to use these pre-made, very carefully made parts like the eyeballs and the mouths, so I can work the rest of it with a kind of brutality. Not wanting to work with too much technique. I've got technique in the in certain parts. For instance, ears, noses. Those are kind of anchors, and then I can go very sort of sloppy and emotively crazy on other parts. And it's that unease between the two that sort of gives it its character and possibly its strength. In the same way I play photography against painting. Photography is an anchor in the document. Whereas painting comes from somewhere else. It's cartoony, it's irrational, it comes from another place. That's why I can't just paint. I have to mix paint and photography. If I were to take this to the finish of a classical sculpture, a Bernini, it would take hours and hours and hours to bring the emotion back into it once you fine-tuned it all. I follow very loosely, standard cultural face painting of women. In the same way I use well-made eyes, well-made noses, well-made lips and ears, using standard ideas of beauty and then using standard ideas of face paint or makeup application is another anchor that lets me be really goofy or stupid or dumb. Rosy red cheeks. Sort of. I don't think Lancome's going to be calling me up very soon. I've always believed there's only two real engines for art making, two real motivating factors, but I prefer the word engine. One is anger and one is guilt. They get you off your ass. I'd rather have something more pure and positive to drive me, a cleaner fuel, but unfortunately I've got to go with that dirty fuel. It's all I have.
What's the key to being successful so young?
Ruthlessness, hunger, complete inability to bend. Not always good things. They're not necessarily the things that should drive an artist. All right. Depan, lebih depan. Okay. Yowza. You're pretty. You are very, very pretty. I actually hate making art. I love dreaming it up and I love finishing it. But usually the process of making art until these, and I actually love making these. It's a thrill. I dream about them at night. I wish my hobby was making drawings. People whose hobby is making drawings are a lot richer than people whose hobby is not making drawings. My hobby is surfing. Famously, a couple of thinkers, creative types, have been dedicated athletes, and they've always struggled to reconcile the two universes. Albert Camus has addressed it. He was a football player, a very good one. Hemingway wrote a lot about this, and it was a huge issue in his life and his writing. When I first came to New York, surfing was considered dummy, and so I kind of had to keep it quiet. I guess it was like being a gay man in the 50s. We knew who was and who wasn't. I broke it down to 9 months in New York and 3 months traveling. To switch gears, the gears would grind and smoke as you shifted from being a chain-smoking, expiring lounge lizard to being, this luxuriant physical creature, thriving on some faraway island. I'd say a big chunk of my life has been spent trying to reconcile those two worlds.